to the IT Fundamentals Training Series. This is Chapter 1, Day 11, Episode 11. You've made it this far. I'm your host, Mark Haupt. Look forward to helping you through the rest of this. Let's go. All right, folks, this is ITF Training Chapter 1, Episode 11. And today we're going to talk about memory. And if you want to turn to page 27 in your book, we're going to take a look at the memory here. And we're going to potentially confuse you a little bit, but we're going to try not to, because I'm sure that if you've already read the book and you've read ahead, you might be a little bit confused of why we're using multiple terms for the same thing. So you first of all, let's just understand clearly that memory is, in a general capacity, is storage. All right, it's where you are putting something that you want to retrieve later on. It's just like in your brain. Your brain actually is like the CPU. It processes information and gives you the information, but keep in mind your brain also stores information. So the memory is like your brain's, where you can retrieve it at a later point. Now, there's two terms for memory that we haven't introduced as of yet, but you've heard me talk about multiple times about volatile and non-volatile memory. The two terms that we're going to introduce here in this book are dynamic memory and static memory. And if you're taking notes, I literally want you to write this down, because writing it down will help you remember this. So volatile memory is dynamic, and here's how I want you to remember that. Volatile meaning that it's in motion, it jumps around, it's explosive, if you will. In dynamic is kind of the same thing. It's moving around. It's kind of jumpy. If you could think of perhaps your children, a volatile situation or a volatile child is going to be one that reacts very quickly, that moves around constantly, never sits down, doesn't stop talking. And so the dynamic situation, that child is a very dynamic child. So keep those two in mind, that volatile memory and dynamic memory are the same. All right. Now, the next one we need to look at is non-volatile memory. Now, remember, non-volatile memory is where it is something that's there all the time, and you can retrieve that, and that is static memory. So that's how you can remember this one again. So write this down: non-volatile equals static. And so if we want to take this a little bit deeper, your volatile memory is going to be something that when you turn your computer off is typically going to go away. So when you are dynamic, when you take an action and you turn your computer off, that explosive situation of turning your computer off right in the middle of a game, right in the middle of a program, the memory goes away, you lose everything, right? So you could think of it that way. So what is the volatile memory? Well, remembering what we talked about before, that is your random access memory, or potentially your cache. We talked about cache a little bit in our last episode. So volatile memory is dynamic memory, is also synonymous with RAM, random access memory. It's also synonymous with cache. So if you write all those down and kind of keep them together, you can kind of keep that straight. Now, non-volatile memory is synonymous with static memory. Static memory is your read-only memory, or your ROM chips. Remember, we talked about that when we talked about the BIOS and the post functions quite a while ago. We've also talked about that when we're talking regarding hard drives, either the spinning disk types, the IDE drives, or the solid-state drives. So this is when a non-volatile memory is something that you're going to have after you power down your computer and bring it back up. That memory is still going to be there. So static memory stays all the time, stays in that one place in which you put it, and it doesn't move. In fact, ROM, with the exception of BIOS, where you can use special programs to update them, ROM never can be altered except for through those special programs. So just kind of keep that in mind, keep those two straight, and you'll be doing great for this section. Now, let's take a look at a couple of other things here that might even further confuse you if you don't have that down already. So then you want to look at SRAM, or static RAM. Now, initially, you might think, well, it's RAM, so that must be volatile memory. Well, they put that S, or the static, in front of it to make it SRAM. So think about what we just talked about. If you go back and you have static memory, that's non-volatile memory. So therefore, it's something that will be there when you return. So that's, again, I admit it's confusing, and it's going to be one of those things you're going to have to write down and drill yourself. But if you remember that static will be there when you return to it, even though it says static RAM, you'll understand that that's a non-volatile memory, and that it's probably some sort of a memory stick. So a USB flash drive, for example, or another, perhaps like I've got here is a whole hard drive, a whole, if you're on the video side, a whole 4 terabytes worth of hard drive on this little bitty thing here. This is static RAM, or would be considered static RAM, even though it's also a solid state drive. So just keep those in mind, that if static is in there, then it equals non-volatile, and even if it has RAM in it with static, so you get static RAM or SRAM, that's non-volatile memory. So if you remember those things in regards to memory, and you remember the acronyms, random access memory and read-only memory, and also finally remember that read-only memory can only be altered with a particular update capability, or update software that has capability to actually write to it and read to it, which is usually the manufacturer of the motherboard placing, have a piece of software within Windows or Linux in order to do the update. Then you should be able to get the information you need to out of this test. Now, exercise 1.2 is very important to go through. It's showing pictures here of Windows 10. Windows 10 will act very similar to Windows 11, and you could follow these same instructions to determine how much RAM and virtual memory exists on your computer. And so what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and do that. And then if you want to send me that screenshot, equivalent screenshot of what's on page 29 with figure 1.17, and we could kind of go over and work together to determine whether or not your computer is up to date or not. So just because you have, like this one here is 8 gigs of memory, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to process fast. Some of the other things we'll be looking at here, for example, is where it says in the figure 117, it says a 2.8 gigahertz machine. So remember, we talked about that in regards to the CPU. This is an i7 class machine. So it's an Intel i7 class machine with multiple cores, and it's running on a 64-bit operating system with 8 gig. So you should be, with that machine, you should probably have a decent machine for an office type of machine. Now, if you're using it for gaming or high video type of scenarios, that memory is probably not going to be sufficient, but the processor would be sufficient. So send me what you have, and let's kind of go over that together and see where you're at and see what we can do with that. All right. We will take a little bit of a break here and move on to episode 11 tomorrow. But in that episode 11, we're going to talk about memory bus speeds and physical characteristics of the RAM, and a few other pieces before breaking into the hard drives later on in the week. So thank you for joining me on this episode of chapter 1. Again, we're going up through page 29 with the exercise, or page 26 with just the material, and look forward to talking to you. So send me an email with your screenshot at mhoupt@commonsensesecurity.net. And again, if you haven't already, please subscribe, hit the little reminder button that tells you when the next episode is available. I look forward to having the conversation with you about how fast your computer is. Talk to you later.